Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the NCSA radio broadcast. NCSA is the Nebraska Council of School Administrators. It's your premier organization in the great state of Nebraska to help you increase your professional acumen and educational leadership. I am Sam Stecker, Superintendent of East Butler Public Schools. And today I have a guest. It's a guy named John. John, how you doing?
I'm fine. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you.
Yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity as well. You were somebody that was on our radar early when we started to broadcast this podcast. And so I guess I'll turn it over to you for a minute and let you introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I am the Special Education Director at ESU 10 out of Kearney. I've just completed my 5th year. And prior to that, I spent 33 years in Grand Island, 24 of which I was an administrator in Grand Island, and the last 10 as the Director of Student Services with Grand Island Public and the cooperative there, which was entitled the Central Nebraska Support Service Program. So all of my career has been spent in Central Nebraska, so in all of which were related to kids with disabilities. So,
well, Central Nebraska, speaking from experience, that's not a bad place to be. We've got some good things going on in Central Nebraska.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And John, I'll make you toot your own horn here just a little bit. It's my understanding you received a relatively prestigious award not all that long ago.
I did. It was an honor. I was awarded the Special Education Administrator of the Year from the Council of Special Education, which is an affiliate of the Council of Exceptional Children. So it was a national recognition, and I can't say awards like this go to so many other people. I just happen to be the recipient of getting the plaque. There are a lot of other people involved in such an award, as you well know.
Well, and you've put together a pretty amazing body of work, and it's good to see one of our own get recognition at the national level for the good work that they do. And as always, it's all of us have countless people behind us, beside us, lifting us up, pulling us forward. So, you also deserve some credit for surrounding yourself with such good people to do those things.
Well, that's probably one of the skills that a good administrator needs to have on their list of accomplishments. When you surround yourself with good people, they do all the work, you get all the credit. So,
John, it's kind of a tradition on this show that the first question we ask is we have people tell us about their favorite teacher they ever had. So, John, what teacher have you had sticks in your mind?
I have a unique background, and I really can't say that any one particular teacher stands out. I come from a military family, and so we moved a lot. And the teachers that stick out to me are those that were very, very accepting of those students who were in and out of their classrooms at any given time. And there are so many of them, and so countless number of them those are the teachers that really stand out for me. Those that were welcoming into the classroom at any point, making sure that your needs were met, and all of the other things associated with good teaching. So I really just don't have any particular one that sticks out, at least in my K-12 career. There have been a lot of mentors that have that stand out during the course of my administrative career, but I'm guessing you're not looking at that.
You know what? I would love to hear that. If you have a mentor that you want to tell us about, none of us really quit having teachers. They kind of just change format.
Absolutely. The person that sticks out is the one that actually got me started in administration. His name was Jim Worth. He was the prior director before I took over his chair when he was elevated to an associate superintendent position. And, Jim was the ultimate teacher. Originally, he was a school psychologist by training, and he walked into administration. And he was always seeking those people that he felt would aspire to be effective leaders. And again, as we've talked before, you surround yourself with good people. I don't know what Jim actually saw in me, but I started out in Grand Island. He started out in Grand Island, and we just got to be good friends. And as an administrator, he was always looking to surround himself with those people that he felt that could support the mission of the Grand Island Public Schools at that particular time. And this was during the time in the mid to late 70s, in which Public Law 94-142, the first federal special education law, was born. So I was on the ground floor, and we were learning along the way, and having a great teacher was certainly an advantage for me. So
that is outstanding. I want to talk a little bit about the partnership between public schools, ESU, and our ESUs. I was in a meeting a few months back with Larry Ann Polk from ESU 7, and I think she had a quote that was, "Sometimes our ESUs are the best kept secret when it comes to education in our state." And then it was funny, just last week I had, excuse me, somebody from our community in my office having a conversation, asking some questions, and he said, "Sam, what is it exactly that ESUs do?" And I was like, "Holy cow, you have no idea how much they do." And you know, when we were emailing back and forth, this is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. Is there's so many different things that are integral in that relationship between our ESUs and our schools when it comes to the service of our students. I was wondering if you would speak to that relationship a little bit, and what do you think some of the best ways are that our leadership in our school systems and our leadership in our ESUs can collaborate?
Absolutely. And again, my previous position with the Central Nebraska Sports Services Program, we were an intermediate service provider. So my entire career has been in that particular role in assisting other school districts to meet the needs of their districts. And you're absolutely right. It seems like if you're not a part of the ESU system, you tend to really not understand the value of an intermediate service agency. I would hope that all, especially the smaller school districts that belong to a service unit, I can't imagine any of them thinking that they could not do business as they do without the support of an ESU. To me, being in the Service Unit 10 area for 38 years, I'm obviously familiar with the structure of an intermediate service agency. And I think the importance of the relationship between an ESU and a school district is your knowledge of that school district. You can't assume that you know what they need. And it's important to keep those lines of communication open. It's important to establish that relationship with every individual school district, be visible, making sure that you ask the questions about how we can meet their needs and prioritize how you utilize your resources within ESU to help serve their students, their staff, their parents, and to accomplish their mission. And the only way that you do that is to spend time with people. You have to spend time with their staff. You have to spend time with administration, certainly to spend time with the superintendents to try to shape what you can do to structure yourself and position yourself to meet their needs. I think the other important thing that ESU 10, I believe, does an outstanding job is breaking down the silos of departments. So special education is a part of what's going on in the IT department, which also supports what's going on in the teaching and learning department. So we're all accomplishing the same role and responsibilities to serve others. And we need to do that collaboratively. So the more that we know about districts, I believe that we can better serve them.
And it is interesting, ESUs are in such a pronounced challenge. You talk about spending that time. You know, as a former elementary principal, as a former dean of students, you always talk about being visible. You use that word visibility and spending that time with people. And holy cow, it's hard to get to all the classrooms you want to get to, and they're located within your building. And then you talk about the service that an ESU provides. And it's not just within your building. You have to drive miles and miles to make that happen. And when I was in Kearney, of course, we always had the benefit that ESU 10 was basically down the street, and that sure helped KPS. But now, here in East Butler, it's an hour drive for me to get up there, for them to come down here. And I will say, in my experience, that has been so nice. They're not shy about getting down to see us. They schedule appointments. They make sure they put that time in to be visible. It's good to hear that validation from you. That makes sense.
Absolutely. Just to give you an idea, I think we've got about 10,000 square miles.
Holy cow.
Geographically at ESU 10. I live in Grand Island, and one of the first years that I was here, I decided to take a road trip and visit the perimeter of ESU 10. It took me 6 hours.
Wow.
From Grand Island to make the circumference of the perimeter of ESU 10. But it was well worth it. I traveled roads that I had not been on. I lived in central Nebraska for over 40 years. So it was a great trip. One of the advantage I think is, again, we've talked about the support of staff. If the staff are on the same page, they're the conduit of communication for us. We have a lot of itinerant staff members that are employed through ESU 10. And if they have the same orientation, the same mission, the same purpose, we have a lot of communication links with them. Technology has been huge. Being able to DL and have those conversations with teachers, with administrators. Again, although there may not be physical presence as to the degree that we would like, we certainly have a presence in other formats. And again, the bottom line is that you need to keep those lines of communication open, and it needs to be frequent.
Makes sense. So from your perspective, and I know there's a million different answers to this, but we always have our challenges. What do you see as one of the biggest challenges that's facing education in Nebraska right now? And maybe more importantly, what is a good way to meet that challenge?
Sure. What I hear from the field and what we talk about all the time, funding is huge. Whenever you have, again, I can speak from the special education perspective, whenever you have entitlement programs, it seems to get into the arena of competing with other available dollars for local school districts. I hate to see us in that particular position. When you have programs in which you have to provide for kids, and that obviously is always a good thing, I have the fear, what do we take off the table in order to be able to provide those services for students with disabilities? So trying to balance that and understanding that we've got responsibilities to the local taxpayers, but we also have responsibilities to kids. And when you put the entitlement programs into the same mix as all educational services that all students are entitled to me, that is a major, major challenge. I just don't see the federal government ever, I guess, meeting their fiscal obligation to fund special education to the 40% level that the original law intended. So therefore, it will be up to the states and up to the local districts in order to be able to maintain that. So the domino effects of that particular aspect of funding concerns me a great deal. From a student perspective, meeting the needs of kids with mental health issues is huge. I hear it everywhere. What can we do? What services are available? And again, it's not my sole opinion, but education cannot handle this on their own. We have to bring to the table a partnership of everyone else who has an investment in meeting the challenges of kids with behavioral and mental health challenges. And again, for the benefit of not only the kids, but also the positive impact that it has on the climate of the buildings, classrooms that we all work in. Thirdly, you probably just asked me about one challenge. I'm going to give you three.
Oh, I'd love to hear all three.
Yeah, are obviously specialty shortages whether it's special education teachers, whether it's a speech pathologist, school psychologist, trying to find the most highly capable, effective staff, again, makes the job that much easier. And it is a challenge in central Nebraska and the rural parts of the state to find those people and to stay fully staffed in order to meet the needs of kids. And, you know, again, being able to recruit those graduates coming out of high schools to get into education, and in particular in specialty areas, is a challenge. And over the course of my career, I've just seen fewer and fewer numbers of people wanting to get into specialty areas. And it's true in the math and the sciences and the music areas as well. So I just don't want to represent special education as a challenge to recruit. But certainly in years to come, it will continue to be something that needs to be addressed statewide.
You know, in my time, I've been in 3 leadership positions: dean of students at a high school, elementary principal, and now superintendent. And I absolutely echo those 3 concerns. I have felt the sting of all 3 of those challenges: the funding, the addressing the mental health concerns, and the staffing of those special positions, without a doubt. So thank you for bringing those up, and I really appreciate your advocacy. It's, unless we talk about it, those aren't problems that are going to go away. And, you know, you said early in talking about the funding, what it comes down to is we're trying to take care of our kids. And that's one of the things I appreciate about the leadership in education in Nebraska is anytime somebody talks about a challenge, then they come back to what's best for our students. So thank you so much for that advocacy. I appreciate that. Last question I have for you, and I think that you will probably maybe be uniquely suited to answer this, especially given that I just found out you served 10,000 square miles and spent 6 hours driving the perimeter of it. You know some people and you have some reach. Who do you think who is somebody that you think all of us in leadership in education in Nebraska should be paying attention to and following, because we'll be better for it?
You know, that's a great question, Sam. From a personal perspective, let me answer that question. I'm going to toot the horn of the NASIS organization, which is the affiliate from NCSA. And the reason why I think collectively we take a look at, and again, coming from a special education perspective, the role and responsibilities of an administrator in special education have become so complex in meeting the needs of kids and dealing with the 3 issues that we've already talked about, is that you need to have a group of individuals that you can rely on. There isn't, as an organization, NASIS, there isn't anybody that you wouldn't be able to reach out, and if they weren't able to help you, they know someone else who can. And it's from best practices, if it comes to teaching and learning, to legislative issues, to finance issues. And I would encourage any of the other member of another affiliate to make sure that they know who they can contact within their region that's part of the NASIS group. And again, you know, having Dr. Delaney be an active participant within our organization. Again, if there's anything that's on the horizon in any arena, somebody within that organization is going to know about it. So reaching out to that group that you have the greatest ties and the closest ties with, to me, is the way to go. You just can't do the job by yourself anymore. And you never could, but it becomes more challenging thinking that you can. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be successful without a peer group.
You know, you started off by saying you were kind of in on the ground level with a lot of the special education legislation, and it hasn't gotten any simpler.
It has not. It has not. Yeah, in fact, it has gotten more complex.
And you're absolutely right. And there's always somebody out there that can help and know the answer, but there's no one person that has it all. So we're in it together.
You're absolutely right.
John, before we close up shop, anything else you'd like to add or say?
You know, again, I appreciate the opportunity, and you know, Central Nebraska is a great place to work. Again, if there's one word of advice, make sure that you stay active in an organization such as NCSA to get your needs met, not only professionally, but personally as well, because you'll develop lifelong friendships as well as lifelong professional partners. So stay active in the organization.
And speaking of staying active, I will throw out there that all of you probably received an email from Megan Hillebrand at NCSA this week to get yourself registered for the NCSA Administrator Days. I just had the opportunity to speak with Megan yesterday, and she is awfully excited about the speakers that they have lined up. Some new names and at least a familiar name to some of us in there, but go check that out. Go to NCSA website and click on Administrator Days because it is now open for registration. Megan's put a lot of work into that, and so is Mike, and it will be an exciting time for all of us. And with that, John, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to talk. I think everybody's going to be better for having the opportunity to listen.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, you take care.
Thank you. Bye now.